Hello everyone. So now we're going to learn another chapter, or rather I would say another poem in your first flight book, and that is A Tiger in the Zoo. This poem is written by Leslie Norris. Now Leslie Norris is a conservationist, is a journalist, and she writes poems as well. And being a conservationist, she is an animal conservationist. So she talks about how animals are in need of their natural habitat. And in this poem, she tries to highlight that. So what all we are going to cover in this poem, A Tiger in the Zoo? The first thing, the summary of the poem, theme, message, tone of the poem, mood of the poet, poetic devices, and some of the important phrases that you need to know when you are attempting any question from this particular poem. Okay, so let's start. He stalks in his vivid stripes, the few steps of his cage, on pads of velvet quiet, in his quiet rage. Now he is referred to the tiger. Tiger has been personified as if it's a person. He stalks in his vivid stripes. Stalks means walking. Vivid stripes refers to the black stripes of the tiger. So he is walking the few steps of his cage. So in the cage itself, he is walking a few steps because that's a concrete area and not a big area for the tiger to walk in. On pads of velvet quiet. Pads of velvet refers to the paws of the tiger. Okay, that it is like velvet because it has never touched the wild forest. Okay, the surface of the wild forest. That's why it is still velvety. It's not hardened. Okay, quiet because the way the tiger is moving, it does not make any sound. In his quiet rage, these are the two opposites which are used. Okay, in order to convey the anger which is building in the tiger, the frustration which is there in the tiger. Okay. Second stanza. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass, near the water hole where plump deer pass. Now there's a very important use of the word he should be. He should be means the poet wishes and thinks and wants that this tiger should have been in his natural environment, in his natural habitat, whereas he is not. Okay, so she is talking about the fact that when the tiger would have been in his natural environment, he would have been sliding through the long grass in order to, attack the prey. Okay, lurking in shadow without anybody knowing it that there is a tiger lurking in shadow. You beautifully used words here. Near the water hole where all the animals of the jungle, they come and drink water from there. Near the water hole where plump deer pass. Plump deer, the deer which is which is healthy, pass so that it can attack its prey and catch its prey and feed on it. Okay. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. Again, the poet in the third stanza refers to the natural environment of the tiger, how the tiger should be and where he should be and how he should be behaving. So he should be snarling. Snarling is a sound word. Snarling is a sound that the tiger produces. Snarling around houses at the jungle's edge to show his presence or to make his presence felt amongst the houses or the people who are living in those houses. He would be making that sound. Baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. Baring his white fangs and his claws in order to terrorize the village, jumping here and there, biting and killing people or killing the cattle in order to terrorize the village of his presence. but he is locked in a concrete cell. His strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. So now the poet has told us about how the tiger should be or would be living had the tiger been in his natural habitat in the second and the third stanza. But in the fourth stanza, the poet brings us back to where the tiger is now. The tiger is walking in his concrete cage, the cage which is made up of concrete. Okay, his strength behind bars. Now, his strength doesn't mean only his strength. Actually, it is his whole body. His whole body is behind the bars of the cage. Okay, stalking the length of his cage. Stalking means he's just, walking in his cage up and down, time and again, ignoring visitors. He has no interest in the visitors. He does not want any visitors. He does not appreciate any visitors. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars. Patrolling cars because we are referring to the zoo. We are referring to a place which is in the middle of the city. So there are patrolling cars around the zoo and he can hear the patrolling cars. And stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Stares with his brilliant eyes which are yearning for freedom, yearning to be free and to be in the wild, at looking at the brilliant stars, the stars which are twinkling in the sky, the stars which are free, which have their own space and they can, they can be wherever they want to be. They are open, they are not caged like a tiger. So here if you see, the word brilliant has been repeated. The first word brilliant refers to the longing to be free in the tiger's eyes. And the second brilliant has been used to refer to the twinkling stars at night, which take him back to the natural environment. Okay, so I hope this poem actually is the poet is trying to create a contrast between the tiger which is caged and a tiger which is in the wild. The poet tries to create a contrast between the two situations, and that is when she tries to show us that the tiger, the animals who are caged just for the pleasure of humans, okay, that they can come and see and have a look at them and go, it's a torture for those animals. They should be left in their natural habitat, in their natural environment. Why they are supposed to be caged? You should never be caging any animal and depriving them of their natural environment. That is just like snatching away the rights of the animals. Okay, and this is what Leslie Norris tries to emphasize in this poem. So coming to the theme that is reflected through this poem, the theme is freedom versus captivity. Freedom, which the tiger yearns for, he longs for freedom, and captivity, which is the current situation of the tiger. So this is the theme that is reflected through this poem. Okay, now the message that is conveyed. So the message, if you try to find out, there are two messages. The first message is that no animal should be caged. No animal should be kept in a prison or a cage. Okay, and the second message is that every animal has a right to be free, to live in their natural habitat. So this is the second message that is conveyed through this poem. Now, the mood of the poet. The poet is unhappy. The poet is unhappy and frustrated with the condition of the tiger. Okay, she is not happy with the fact that the tiger is caged, and she wants the tiger to be free and live in its natural environment. The tone that is used in this poem by the poet, it's a very ambiguous tone. Ambiguous in the sense that when when the poet talks about the tiger in the cage, okay, she shows her her unhappiness, her sadness, her that she is disheartened with the fact that the tiger is in the cage. But when she refers to the tiger in the natural habitat, she admires, she is in awe of the tiger, the way the tiger lurks around and roams around in the natural habitat. So she is in awe of that. She is in admiration of that. Okay, so the tone is ambiguous because in the first, fourth, and fifth stanza, the tone is of unhappiness, disheartening tone. Okay, whereas in the second and third stanza, the tone is of admiration, of to be in awe of the tiger. Okay, now coming to the poetic devices that are used. Now there are many poetic devices which are used in this poem. Now, when we talk about poetic device, the first poetic device that we come across is personification, as I discussed earlier also. That the tiger, usually we give a pronoun to the animals as it. But here the poet has used he. So it's a human attribute which has been given to a creature or an animal. And that is why we use personification here. Personification has been used by the poet. Okay. Then, when the poet has used vivid stripes on his body, he stalks in his vivid stripes. So that refers to the imagery that is created, the image that is triggered in the mind of the reader. So that is imagery. Okay. Also, stalks. He stalks in his vivid stripes. So the sound of E has been repeated. So that is assonance. Okay. Also, when we move ahead, pads of velvet refer to the paws of the tiger. So that is comparison. The pads of velvet is compared to the paws of the tiger. So that is metaphor. Also, the poet has used consonants here. Now, when we talk about assonance, we are referring to the sound which is repeated of a vowel in his vivid stripes. So that sound of E has been repeated, I. Okay. Opposite of assonance is consonance, where the sound of a consonant has been repeated, like stalks in his vivid stripes. So that is the sound S has been repeated. So that is consonance. Okay. Also, in the first stanza, the poet has used oxymoron. Oxymoron is when two opposites have been used to convey the meaning. So here, quiet rage, quiet, which means silent, and rage, which is anger, frustration. These two have been used together to convey the building anger in the tiger. Just like how we use bittersweet. Okay, so bittersweet is some part of it is bitter, yet you find it sweet. So bittersweet is another example of oxymoron. Okay, moving ahead, we come across a lot of examples of imagery, like lurking in shadows or sliding through grass. Okay, so that is also an example of imagery. The poet has also used enjambment in this poem, wherein one idea gets rolled into the next line without any pause. So here enjambment is sliding through long grass near the water hole where plump deer pass. So these three lines are in continuation, where one idea is rolling into the second line, and then to the third line without any break, without any pause. And the pause can be created with the help of punctuation marks. So there is a lack of punctuation mark there. So that is enjambment. Then plump deer pass. So plump and pass, it starts with the same consonant sound. Okay, so that is alliteration. There is a use of alliteration. Also, we say that there is a use of repetition in this poem. When the poet says, on pads of velvet quiet, in his quiet rage. So quiet word has been repeated in this in similar way. Even the word brilliant has been repeated in the last two lines of the poem. And stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. The word brilliant also has been repeated because it conveys the same meaning, and it is the rolling in of the same thought. So yes, that is also repetition which is used in the poem. Okay. um, the poet has also used onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is sound word. So snarling is a sound that is used in this poem. And as I said, as I mentioned earlier also, his strength behind bars. Strength is not behind bars, it's the whole body. So when one quality, okay, one quality refers to the whole part, okay, that is known as metonymy. So metonymy has been used when the poet says his strength behind bars. Strength, his strength. So these two words are an example of metonymy, wherein it substitutes, the word substitutes the name of an attribute. Okay, it's a substitution for the name of an attribute for that of the thing meant. So here the name is strength, and it is meant for the body of the tiger. Now, these are the poetic devices which are primarily used in this poem. Now, besides these, I also want to share that the quick tips that we always do, that's customary for us. So the quick tips that whenever you are reading the poem, children, please try to underline the words that are going to help you, like vivid stripes, his strength, lurking in shadows, okay, or sliding through long grass. These are some of the most important phrases that are used in the poem by the poet. When you use these phrases in your excuse me, in your answers, you will be able to frame better answers, because the evaluator will be able to know that yes, you have read the poem and you have understood the poem. Okay, so that is why you're using these phrases in your answers. So very important, please underline these phrases in your textbook, and when you are writing in your answers, use these phrases in your answers as well. Okay, so I hope this was helpful for you all, and if you have any doubts, anything to share, please do write it in the comment box. Thank you so much. Have a lovely day ahead.